UFC Saudi Arabia. These are the full card predictions and the betting breakdown. I'm looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on this card. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and make sure you share the video as well. And also note, I'm going to be live for the entire card Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern time. Early start for this UFC Saudi Arabia card. Very excited for the fight companion. Make sure you tune into it. Let's jump into the first fight on it. We have Xiao versus Chang Li. This is the road to the UFC bantamweight finals. I am leaning Li in this fight here, but I'll tell you straight up, not one that I would bet. If you're looking to throw heat down on this card early in the night, I wouldn't attack it. I do think Li's the better wrestler, and I feel like both guys have shown some flaws through their, matchups on road to UFC. It's not like Xiao went out and beat the hell out of his last opponent. He was getting touched up a bit. He lacks head movement. His head is pretty much on the center line, and he has a bad habit of dipping it forward. Now, he's got a good chin. He eats some solid shots. 26-8. He's got a shitload of experience for being only 26. It's weird because looking at Chang Li and Xiao facing off with one another after their recent wins on road to UFC, which led up to this fight, you would think that Long was 35 and Li was 28. He looks a lot younger, but he's actually the older guy. I think Li's wrestling is better. That's why I lean him. Both guys got good gas tanks, are ready to go for 3 hard rounds. Li got dominated for the first 2 rounds in his last fight on road to UFC and then came back for a 3rd round finish. Xiao got a majority decision. It was a coin flip at the end of it. It was pretty competitive. He definitely won the 3rd round. Both guys have cardio. Both guys can go hard for 3 rounds. I see it as a coin flip fight. I think you might get a Li split decision, but it definitely wouldn't blow my mind if it ended up going the other way for Xiao. So it's not one that I'm banking on the betting lines. Now, as far as the betting odds for the fight, let's check them out. We have even money down the center. And I am telling you guys, it deserves this even line. Very hard to decipher who is significantly better. But what I can tell you, statistically speaking, Li is the superior wrestler and should be able to garner takedowns and control time to win a competitive decision here. Minus 200 for the over 2.5 with minus 110s on both sides for the money lines. Give me Li. Give me a close-ass fight that could go either way to start off the night in Saudi Arabia. Let's keep running up. Next fight on the card, we have Cedriquis Dumas versus Denis Tiuliulin. Dumas is jumping in on short notice, and honestly, it couldn't have been against a better matchup for him. I'm picking Cedriquis Dumas. Denis Tiuliulin is essentially a 50-50 brawler. I mean, bro, he's 11-9 as a pro. He's got some power. He can wing some heavy hooks and mix it up with his hands. Pretty subpar in the grappling department. And he also has some knockout losses too. Dumas still has some upside potential. He has decent boxing skills. I'm not going to completely write him off for his loss to Nursultan Rizboyev because that was such a tainted victory for Rizboyev. It was an obvious eye poke right before the finishing shots for Rizboyev, and it's not like Dumas was looking like he was completely outgunned in the kickboxing. Dumas definitely has better hands than Tiuliulin. He's also got a little bit of a reach advantage. He doesn't have as much power, though. Tiuliulin can crack with some heavy shots. You know what? I think that Dumas could surprise us with his grappling in this fight. I can see him getting Tiuliulin down and submitting him. Tiuliulin is really subpar in the grappling department, and Dumas, you have to give him some credit for dominating Cody Brundage in the wrestling, regardless of the short notice spot for Brundage. I know he lost to Josh Frem. You know what's funny, though, about Dumas? He talked about that Josh Frem fight. He said that he went into that fight completely stoned. Like, he smoked an infused joint and was absolutely baked out of his mind. I thought that was crazy. He's smoking weed on fight day. I think Cedriquis Dumas is going to pull through. I do think he can beat Denis Tiuliulin. I think he jumped into this spot recognizing he's taken on one of the worst guys on the middleweight roster. I like Tiuliulin as a brawler. He's fun to watch, but 3 losses in a row. Leroy Duncan, Gregory Rodriguez, Jun Young Park. Granted, decent opposition for sure. His only win as of late is Jamie Pickett, which isn't too high caliber. Dumas, I mean, last time out, controversial with Rizzy Boyev loss. Beat a Zaitar, beat Brundage. He hasn't looked like much of a finisher, but he's got this submission here on Contender Series. I think Cedric Dumas could potentially surprise Tiuliulin on the ground and sub him, but ultimately the money line would be more the confident side. It's definitely not a Dumas lock the submission down with everything you got. He's a minus 146 favorite. He should win. Younger guy, good upside potential. I don't think he's that bad. I honestly think Dumas is okay. Tiuliulin plus 126. Another reason I'm picking Dumas is at 28 you can see improvements, right? But you can't really teach an old dog new tricks. Tiuliulin is 36 years old. We know his style. He's coming to bang and throw hard. Sure, he can land, but I don't know, not worth it. The over 1.5 minus 200, probably over 1.5 here. I could definitely see it going a little bit longer. Probably, though. I'm going Dumas. Close money favorite. The line has come a bit closer as seems like Tiuliulin is getting some love as a damn underdog. I'm going Dumas to pull through. I think his hands are quicker. Doesn't have as much pop, but he's got the length, and I think he could have a grappling edge in this fight too. Dumas for the W over Mr. 50-50 brawler in Tiuliulin. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, we got Magomed Gadzhiyasulov versus Brenson Ribeiro. This is a really dope-ass fight. And, like, I was close to saying, fuck it, give me Ribeiro. But I'm not. Because simply speaking, Gadzhiyasulov is a technically superior fighter with more ways to win. The only way Brenson Ribeiro wins this fight is by knocking Gadzhiyasulov out with a big shot. Yasulov has the possibility of winning by a decision, by a submission, or a knockout. I believe he is a more well-rounded fighter than Brenson Ribeiro. I think he can potentially mix in takedowns. I know Gadzhiyasulov is known for the technical kickboxing from distance, controls range really well. I don't think he was impressive enough against Jose Medina, but Medina definitely has a better chin than Brenson Ribeiro. So it's not like Gadzhiyasulov couldn't stop Ribeiro. Ribeiro is a guy that throws everything into every punch, and because of that, he puts himself in very vulnerable positions. And if you look, Mi Yang Zhang last time absolutely starched Brenson Ribeiro, but he did rock him with a couple big shots early. Like, Ribeiro was throwing heavies. Ribeiro's got the reach advantage. He's also a little bit taller. There's things to like about Brenson Ribeiro. It's just I really worry about his defensive skills and his durability. If I'm on Gadzhiyasulov's team, I'm thinking, listen, play with him in the striking a little bit early. When he starts to throw hard and plant, double leg him. Get him to the ground. I think Gadzhiyasulov might surprise us with taking this fight to the floor and showing the jiu-jitsu skill set. Ribeiro, I think, will lose the wrestling match. I don't think he's going to be super easy to submit, but he has lost by submission in the past. And if you're sitting and striking with him, the way he punches, danger is bound to happen for, any of the back-end guys at light heavyweight. But I do think Gadzhiyasulov is technically superior and pulls through. I feel like a Brenson Ribeiro knockout call, a knockout bet is not a horrible idea, especially if you have Gadzhiyasulov in some parlays, but you want a light hedge on the opposite side. You throw a little bit down on Ribeiro, who I'm assuming is going to be plus 400 for a knockout, maybe more than that. The odds for this fight currently have Gadzhiyasulov at minus 350 as a really big favorite, with Brenson Ribeiro at plus 275. We're in Saudi Arabia. I think the Brazilian loses. I like Brenson Ribeiro's crazy-ass style, but he's so vulnerable to big shots, and Gadzhiyasulov is so much technically better. I got to go with Gadzhiyasulov to win. I got to go with the technique. I think Yasulov has the tools to be a guy that can teeter towards the top 15, where Brenson Ribeiro is kind of a guy that might knock out X fighter and then lose to another one and then knock out 2 more and then lose to 3 more. He's a very hit or miss knockout puncher, and he's just too chinny, man. He's been knocked out a good amount. I see a finish probably under 1.5 here, which is minus 200. I'm going to say Gadzhiyasulov to stop him. I like Gadzhiyasulov inside distance. I think that Yasulov, even though he's not known for winning by submission, I believe he has one win by submission on the resume. I could see takedowns being a factor in this fight. I could see a tired Brenson Ribeiro getting caught in a rear naked choke. So I'm going Gadzhiyasulov to pull through. I think he's beaten Brenson Ribeiro, and I'm going to have some belief in the skill set because technically speaking, he is superior. It's just the power of Brenson Ribeiro is not to be overlooked, and Gadzhiyasulov can't get reckless on the feet. Now, normally he's not that style of fighter. He's technically sound. He works well from the outside. He has extremely good movement. There's a lot to like about Gadzhiyasulov's stand-up. He's so schooled, and then he also has wrestling too. We're going with Gadzhiyasulov to pull through. But I do have to say I have a little worry just with the heavy hands of Ribeiro and just the fact that he's insane and willing to swing for the fences. Our next fight on the card, we have Muin Gafurov versus Kang. I think that Kang can pull through in this one. I think he can get a hard-fought decision. I know people might write him off because he's almost 37, but Muin Gafurov, he has never won in the UFC. He hasn't really shown me the level that I want to go out and pick against a Kang who's been in the UFC for like 11 years. Consistent winner, too. I mean, what? 3-2 in his last 5. Lost to Castaneda, but Castaneda's a pretty tough fighter, man. A Christian Quinones win as a big underdog was pretty badass. Batgarel Dana victory. Close fight with Yaya where he got out-grappled a little bit there. Yaya's jiu-jitsu is solid. And that was a Yaya 2.5 years ago, not the washed Yaya. And then you see a split decision there. Not all that impressive. I think Kang wins a competitive fight with Gafurov. I'm not sold on Muin Gafurov being good. He lost to Chad and Helliger on Contender Series, and then he came into the UFC, he lost to John Castaneda, and then he got submitted very quickly against Said Nurmagomedov. Outside of having the OV, the last 2 letters of the last name, my selling point for Gafurov is, okay, embrace the grind for 3 rounds against Kang. Kang has double-digit submission victories, though. He's no slouch on the floor. I think Kang gets a hard-fought decision. He's got a reach advantage, too. A little bit older, but I don't think Kang is washed. I don't think he's aged too badly. I don't know. Sometimes I get very sold on X fighter has the wear and tear and the age on him, so I fade against him. But I still think Kang can beat an unproven Gafurov. I have to go with the veteran savviness and experience. I think Kang can pull through as a slight underdog here. He's plus 119. Because we're in Saudi Arabia, I will say this is the first event in Saudi Arabia. I'm a little nervous of close fights favoring the Muslim fighters. Not a guarantee that it happens, but we've never seen the Saudi Arabian MMA judging or officials for the UFC. This is a first ever event for the UFC there. So we're kind of going to find everything out. Now, Gafurov is around minus 140 as the favorite. I couldn't see myself betting Gafurov as a favorite. Kang is an okay underdog. He's got a lot of UFC experience, and I mean, he's a proven winner for the most part, even though he's not elite. Over 2.5 is minus 200. Maybe you're better off touching the over with the simple mentality of Kang might get robbed on a decision if the Saudi Arabian judges are flawed. Not saying they're going to be for sure. It's just we don't know how the Saudi Arabian judges are going to be. We don't know who the officials are going to be. We don't know a lot of things about the Saudi Arabian Commission. And like what we saw last weekend with the UFC in Vegas, 2 bad decisions. Will there be bad decisions favoring the Muslim fighters? I don't know. I'm not saying for sure, but it could happen. Nonetheless, the official prediction is Kang on a close decision. Next fight on the card, we have Rinat Fakhretdinov versus Nicolas Dalby. I'm going to be picking Rinat Fakhretdinov. I am not ready to jump off the Fakhretdinov hype train just yet. He's got a pretty good sniper striking style backed with really good wrestling. On the opposite side, he just has a pressure fighter with a crazy gas tank in Nicolas Dalby who can stay in your face for the whole 3 rounds. Definitely a difficult test for Fakhretdinov. But I think Fakhretdinov can deal with Dalby's physicality. A big aspect of Dalby's game is him wearing you down. Fakhretdinov can match the grappling. I think Fakhretdinov can take Nicolas Dalby down, who for the most part is difficult to deal with in the wrestling. And I think Fakhretdinov has the slicker striking. I'm going to be very interested to see if Fakhretdinov keeps Dalby off of him. And if Dalby does have success closing that gap and getting in Fakhretdinov's face and looking to wear on him against the cage, can Fakhretdinov control wrestling positions in the clinch? My personal belief is he absolutely can. And I think he can also land trip takedowns from the clinch too. I think Rinat Fakhretdinov can get a decision win. I think he's the superior wrestler and the superior boxer. Where Dalby probably has an advantage is going to be wrestling. Or excuse me, wrestling. What am I saying? Pressure, right? And gas tank. Not wrestling though. And because he doesn't have the wrestling here, even though he has that smothering style, if Fakhretdinov can put him on his back, it doesn't necessarily matter how good the gas tank is if Fakhretdinov can garner a lot of control time. I'm not ready to jump off Fakhretdinov's hype just yet. I'm going to say Fakhretdinov wins. Very difficult fight here in his now 5th UFC fight. Obviously, coming off of the draw against Alisio Zaleski last time was a disappointment, but he did have a good first round. He hurt Zaleski early in the fight, and then Dalby absolutely silenced the hype train of Gabriel Bonfim, stopping him, because Dalby's just one of those guys, man. In your face the whole time, really good gas tank. You can't go out and expect to finish Dalby. The thing is, I feel like Fakhretdinov's team knows what's up. They know you have to give Dalby his respect. He's not going to come out reckless and wild trying to stop him. I think he's going to fight pretty smart here. I think mixing in takedowns. I don't think it's an easy fight against Dalby, but I think it's one that Fakhretdinov can pull through on. I'm not going to write him off because of a draw with an OG like Alisio Zaleski. Fakhretdinov is too big of a favorite, though. Minus 320. I don't think that's a sensible line. Even though Fakhretdinov, I think, wins, it's just Nicolas Dalby is a proven dog. He comes through as a dog a lot, man. Nicolas Dalby's a dangerous guy to bet against as an underdog because he's always live. Over 2.5 rounds is minus 200. I expect them to go hard for the full 3. Fakhretdinov's gas tank could definitely be a tad bit of a worry. But if he's successful for takedowns and not involved in like a pressure, clinch, dirty boxing scrap for 3 rounds, I feel like his gas tank can hold strong for this fight against Dalby. Ultimately, this is my thought process. This is the Fakhretdinov make or break. If he can't get past the Dalby, okay, we know he's not that guy. Nicolas Dalby with a win, though, I mean, that's going to be 5 in a row. You might as well give him somebody ranked. He's going to deserve it. And he's really had a late career resurgence, almost 40 years old, and he's looked better than he ever has before. But I think Fakhretdinov can pass this legit gatekeeper test, which really is the turn of the tide towards the rankings. Tapology has him at 16 and 17, respectfully, with the worldwide rankings. But let's be honest, Tapology's rankings are not really accurate by any means. Still, I'm going Fakhretdinov on a decision over Dalby. I'm picking against him again. I've picked against Dalby and fumbled. It's happened a lot. But I feel like Fakhretdinov has the goods to pull through. Fakhretdinov can take him down. Fakhretdinov can avoid just being pressured and controlled. And if he doesn't go ballistic looking for an early knockout, I mean, granted, if he gets an early knockout, that'll be badass. But if he fights smart here and can deal with that Dalby pressure, I think Rinat Fakhretdinov by decision makes a lot of sense. That's the call that I'm riding with. Let's keep running up the card. Next fight, we have Nasrat Haqparast versus Jared Gordon. I got to pick Nasrat Haqparast to win. I think he gets a hard-fought decision over Jared Gordon. Like, my only selling point to pick Jared Gordon is he probably should have beat Paddy Pimblett a couple years ago. What was it, a year and a half ago now? But what is that really saying? We still don't even know the level of Paddy Pimblett. I know he's coming off the win over Tony Ferguson, but it is a wash Tony Ferguson. What I can say about Haqparast, 3-fight win streak he's put together. He actually looked real smooth with the hands against Jamie Malarkey last time out, and he knocked him out in the first round. I feel like Haqparast's stand-up is going to match well with Jared Gordon, and I don't feel like Gordon is going to have the wrestling edge that he needs. So he gets into a bit of a competitive boxing match. Nasrat Haqparast is a pretty good round winner. I mean, the majority of his wins in the UFC have been on the judges' scorecard, so he's pretty comfortable in going a hard 3 rounds. And I think Gordon, with the pressure boxing style, he's got clean shots he can land, but I just think Haqparast is a little more sophisticated with the overall striking game. Add on top of it, Haqparast has a 4-inch reach advantage. Add on top of it that he's 7 years younger, and he's also a UFC veteran. I want to really harp on that for a second, because earlier I'm picking against Gafurov, the younger man, in a fight against Kyung, but Kang has a significant amount of UFC experience and wins, whereas Gafurov has none. He's 2 UFC losses. Whereas Haqparast is also a UFC veteran. He's just very young. And I think the rate of improvement is really there. I feel like out of TriStar, I got some faith in the Kelvin Gastelum doppelganger, especially that they're fighting on the same card. I think there's a good aura and energy about Nasrat Haqparast winning. So I'm going with Haqparast to win. I think he gets it on the scorecards. I feel like Jared Gordon's going to look for some big hooks, but Haqparast's movement will be pretty smooth. I feel like Haqparast lands some decent shots on the feet. And I think ultimately it's close, but it's a Haqparast win after the full thing goes. So we're going Haqparast. Minus 265, chalky-ass line. Jared Gordon is plus 225 as the underdog in this fight. Yeah, I think Haqparast beats him. I think we're going distance. Over 2.5 is like minus 205, minus 210. I'm going to call going over. I'm going to call Haqparast on the scorecards. I think he wins here against Jared Gordon. That's the side that I'm riding with. Nasrat Haqparast to make it 4 in a row. And I really think he's finally starting to find his footing inside of the UFC. Jared Gordon's last one was impressive, but Mark Madsen quit fighting after that. No contest with Green. Tough loss to Pimblett, which could have went his way. Win over Leonardo Santos, then Grant Dawson subbed him. I think Nasrat Haqparast by decision is the right side. We're going Haqparast to pull through. Next fight on the card is our featured prelim of the night. It is Shara Bullet Magomedov versus Julton Lutterbach. I'm going to be picking Shara Bullet to win, and I think he can get the knockout here against Julton Lutterbach. Now, I will give praises to Lutterbach. A lot of striking experience. Wins in striking. Recently was fighting in karate combat and getting W's. Former lightweight, though, right? So naturally, he's the smaller guy. Though, it seems like he's filled out his frame nicely at, the 100 whatever 80-ish pounds that he's fighting at. But his last weigh-in MMA, he was 165 and a half. A few years ago, fighting in PFL against the lightweights. And, split decision loss to Raush Manfio. Split decision loss to Clay Collard. Definitely respectable accolades. Lutterbach's a decent fighter. But, dude, you're jumping up from lightweight to middleweight. There is a massive jump now. I know he missed weight for that Collard fight, too. So the welterweight jump made sense. But now all the way up at middleweight, coming in on short notice here with Shara Bullet, I think that Shara Bullet can land some good strikes. I guess I really have faith in Shara Bullet's stand-up. I actually think he's got the goods. I think Shara can end up knocking Lutterbach out. As much kickboxing experience as Lutterbach has, I think Shara Bullet is just naturally sharper and quicker. And I feel like Shara Bullet's got some upside to him. Lutterbach's a tough Brazilian, though. I'm just thinking about the fight. Like, how do you really go out and beat Shara Bullet? I think it's wrestling. Julton Lutterbach, I know he has takedown potential, but to body Shara Bullet in the grappling, I just can't foresee that being the case. Lutterbach is naturally more of a striker, and I expect these two to mix it up in the striking realm. And I got to go with the naturally bigger middleweight in Shara Bullet Magomedov, and I think he's going to find the big shots and pull through. I think Shara Bullet can get an impressive win. He should definitely beat Lutterbach. But you know what? Julton Lutterbach's a weird case because he is a former lightweight, but he does fill out to a legit 85-pound frame, at least with his height and his reach that he has. And he is pretty strong, too. I mean, he was a pretty jacked lightweight at one point, but that's just weird, man. Weird fight. Lutterbach, he's a plus 195 dog. Shara Bullet is sitting at minus 230 as the favorite in this fight. Let's see what the under 2.5 is. They have an under 2.5 at plus 125. I'm going to pick Shara Bullet by knockout. I'm not ready to say he's missed a decision winner. I know he beat Bruno Silva by a decision in the debut, But to be fair, that is a UFC debut, and it was the biggest fight of his life. Jolton Lutterbach is, I guess, now the biggest fight of Sharabullet's life too, but he's got that first UFC experience out the window. And I feel like Sharabullet is still an absolute dynamite finisher. He's very impressive on the feet. And though Lutterbach has the kickboxing accolades and the striking experience, it's not like Sharabullet hasn't done a lot of striking. I think Sharabullet's better. Sharabullet, knockout win over Jolton Lutterbach, and I think he's going to impress in Saudi Arabia and get the fans going kind of crazy because the hype train is real on Sharabullet. Let's see if he delivers. Let's jump to our main card opener. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Johnny Walker versus Volkan Oezdemir. Holy hell. This one right here, it's a coin flip fight. The odds are about even. Something's telling me Volkan Oezdemir rocks Johnny Walker. I hate picking against Johnny Walker. You guys know I'm a big Johnny Walker fan, though. Do I just go Johnny Walker till the death of me and just say, fuck it? I initially had the intention of coming here and picking the side of Volkan Oezdemir. But like in my heart right now, how I feel, I want Johnny Walker so bad. So bad. Fuck, man. It's just okay. We're going to go Volkan Oezdemir. Fuck it. Fuck how I feel. I think Volkan can catch him with big shots. And I still question Johnny Walker's chin a little bit. We've seen him knocked out a fair amount of times. Volkan Oezdemir is still a difficult veteran to deal with. He hits really hard. I mean, he wasn't awful in the Magomed Ankalaev fight. He went distance, whereas Walker got finished against Magomed Ankalaev. And even though Johnny Walker has had some decent wins as of late, it's like, okay, he out kickboxed Anthony Smith for 3 rounds a year ago, and then 2, the no contest, and then the loss to Magomed Ankalaev. Volkan Oezdemir on the other side, win over Bogdan Gushkov. It was a finish, but Gushkov is ass, though, on the ground. Then the Nikita Krylov loss. Obviously, Walker also lost to Krylov a few years ago. Beat Paul Craig by decision. He didn't finish Paul Craig. Magomed Ankalaev, Yuri Prohashka. You know what? Fuck the notes. Fuck the reality. I'm backing Johnny Walker. I'm done with this shit. Fuck it. You know what? My initial lean was Johnny Walker pre-notes. And then I'm looking into it and I'm like, no, I think Volkan can catch him over the top. Forget what I just said. I changed my mind on show. I'm done picking against the guy that I fucking have faith in. I still think Johnny Walker's got potential to challenge for a belt. I think Johnny Walker catches Volkan Oezdemir and pulls off a sick knockout. He's so unorthodox, and Volkan Oezdemir's head is there to be hit. I think Walker's quicker. He's got the reach advantage. I feel like Johnny Walker can show out in this fight, but this is a nerve-wracking pick, man. Flip a damn coin. The betting side of it, not interested. I want to go with Johnny Walker. I have to. It's even money. Minus 110 Walker. Oezdemir minus 110. It's so close. Oh my God. Please, Johnny Walker. I believe in Johnny Walker. The more I talk about it, I'm just seeing Johnny Walker's athleticism win him the fight. Like, I feel like Johnny Walker is going to land a weird shot that drops Volkan Oezdemir and he ends up knocking him out in emphatic fashion. The over 1.5 is minus 160. I think it's going under rounds. Under 1.5 plus 130. I'm saying there's a finish. I'm saying it's Johnny Walker getting his hand raised. I think he pulls through. Jay Walker for the W. I'm going against what I said earlier. I'm going against the slight logic, and I'm going towards the feeling inside that is telling me the athleticism of Johnny Walker, the range of Johnny Walker, the size of Johnny Walker. He can beat Volkan Oezdemir. He's going to knock him out. I'm going Johnny Walker KO. We're going with Walker. Fuck it. We have to. I feel it in my gut, and that's the side that I'm going to ride with. I'm picking with my soul in this fight here, okay? I'm picking with my damn soul in this fight here. Let's keep running up the card. Muhammad Naimov versus Melsik Baghdasaryan. Do you guys know it? No, you probably didn't. Fight is canceled. Very disappointing note that this fight is canceled. I just wanted to say, I know it's kind of crazy, but maybe Naimov versus Montel Jackson at 145, because Montel just had his fight canceled with Basharat. I know it's not really fair to him, but if he's looking to get something and somebody who's available, maybe that happens. I don't know if the UFC is shuffling, looking for an opponent. We're less than a week away from the fight, so it might not happen. I'll keep you guys up to date with the shows throughout the week if we do get a new fight. But Naimov and Baghdasaryan is off. Let's jump to our featured bout of the night. We have Kelvin Gastelum versus Daniel Rodriguez, and I feel like Kelvin Gastelum is got this one. I feel like his hands are going to be smooth in this one. Battle of Southpaws too, which is going to be interesting. Gastelum should have the wrestling advantage also in this fight. I feel like D-Rod should be on a 3-fight losing streak because I just didn't think that he beat the Leech. And then Neil Magny subbed him up. Ian Gary knocked him out. I know Kelvin Gastelum just got bodied last time by Sean Brady, but Sean Brady's grappling is absolutely god tier, and that's not what you have here with Rodriguez. I would say arguably Kelvin Gastelum has the grappling advantage, at least the pure wrestling edge. And I know Daniel Rodriguez got that 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu in his back pocket, but he's not known for his sub game. Gastelum, I feel like, has the speed advantage over this version of D-Rod. And what's crazy, as many fights as Gastelum has had in the UFC, he's still like 5 years younger than Daniel Rodriguez, who's 37. I'm going with Gastelum. I think he pulls through. Calling the knockout for Gastelum at 170 is iffy. We got to see Gastelum on the scale. I'm going to give you guys a strong note. I'm pretty sure Kelvin Gastelum is the winner on Saturday against Daniel Rodriguez, but I want to make sure he may weight. I want to make sure he's fitting in shape. Last time out, he looked ready to rock, and then Sean Brady bodied the shit out of him, but I just think it's because Sean Brady is that good. Not about Kelvin Gastelum being washed. I'm going Kelvin Gastelum for a decision win. I think he can touch up D-Rod. I think he can outbox D-Rod. I think he can mix in takedowns in the fight. I think he can pressure him against the cage even for the most part. I think he gets a competitive decision. Kelvin Gastelum for the win. Let's look at the odds. Gastelum is a big favorite, minus 250. Daniel Rodriguez plus 210 is the underdog. Yeah, I'm going with Gastelum. I'm going with the big favorite, Gastelum. Let's see here. Over 2.5, minus 200. Feel pretty good about it going over. I know Gastelum has shown power before, but for the most part, that's at 185. Now he's back down at 170. I don't necessarily know how the punch and power translates. And I also feel like Kelvin Gastelum playing it smart and safe, securing a win is going to be his main focus as opposed to risking it all, searching for the KO against D-Rod. But after that high kick knockout, D-Rod's chin could be gone. Gastelum could put him down with a clean shot. We'll find out. We're picking Kelvin Gastelum. I'm going with him. I think he pulls through. I'm saying decision win for Kelvin Gastelum. I feel like he's going to have the tools to deal with Daniel Rodriguez, and he gets back on the winning track, and I'm pretty excited to find out. Co-main event. We have Sergey Pavlovich versus Alexander Volkov. Note something about this one, guys. They've trained together, and sometimes when fighters train against one another, because both of them know their moves well, there is a certain hesitancy that comes with that and more of a patient start to the fight. Why am I bringing this up? Because Sergey Pavlovich is a first-round fighter or bust, whereas Alexander Volkov can go hard for 3 rounds, and he's even gone the full 5. I'm going Alexander Volkov. And I know that'll shock some people, but let me tell you why. Sergey Pavlovich is a plodding, flat-footed power puncher. Alexander Volkov is a very calculated, technical kickboxer who uses range pretty well. Even though Pavlovich has that 4-inch reach advantage, Volkov is still going to be more effective from the outside. And let me also note something. When you compare Pavlovich last time, when he took on Tom Aspinall, one big shot put him down and out. Now, yes, Aspinall hits extremely hard and he's explosive, and I'm not saying Volkov matches that power, but what I am saying is Volkov is not necessarily a dead man in the striking. Alexander Volkov has never been a chinny fighter. Let me note something for you guys. He has 1 UFC knockout loss. It was against Derek Lewis, and it was also in the 3rd round of a fight that he was winning, and ultimately he gassed out late, got caught with a clubbing shot when he slowed down, and Derek Lewis put him unconscious. Pavlovich has not gone long in fights, okay? 2 UFC losses, both first-round knockout losses. Now, for Volkov, he does have a first-round loss to Tom Aspinall. It was on the ground. but he put up a better fight in the striking than Pavlovich did. So what I'm saying is, because these guys have a sense of one another's games, obviously Volkov knows there is substantial power with Pavlovich. Volkov will have a slight advantage inside of the clinch, but he needs to be careful of looping shots over the top. He will also have an advantage in the grappling. The pure jiu-jitsu favors Volkov. Now, Volkov pulling off a submission of a tired Pavlovich is a possibility. Volkov pulling off a knockout of Sergey Pavlovich is also possible. But a big factor to me, not that Volkov couldn't win in the first round, but if he is able to survive the first round, I don't know how Pavlovich even looks coming out to a second round. I think he'd be substantially slowed down and worse than he is starting fights. Volkov knowing these things. Now, of course, big punch could land. Volkov inside distance. That's what I'm feeling. I think he could knock Pavlovich out, maybe even submit him. And I know some people might say, oh, bro, you're crazy. But let's look at Volkov's work over the last 5. Easy win over Tai Tuivasa. Easy win over Romanov. Big knockout of Rosenstruik. Lost to Tom Aspinall. Fair loss. Win over Marcin Tybura, who's an exceptional grappler. Sergey Pavlovich lost to Tom Aspinall. Quick knockout loss. Beat Curtis Blades, which definitely is impressive, but Curtis was very fearful of the striking. Failed a takedown attempt, fight over for him, okay? Tai Tuivasa knockout. He ran through Tuivasa. Tuivasa had nothing for him. Derek Lewis had nothing for him. He ran him over, right? He's just blitzing guys. Abdurrahimov, he runs over. He's blitzing guys and bullying them. But I'm telling you, Volkov has the skills to avoid that chaotic blitz and do effective damage himself. Survive early. Pavlovich gassed out is going to be minimal threat to Volkov in the striking. Volkov might pull off a knockout. Volkov also is live for a submission. That's why I like Volkov inside distance, but you also could hedge that if you're looking to bet with Pavlovich first round by knockout. First round knockout Pavlovich as the hedge side with Alexander Volkov underdog attack. Alexander Volkov inside distance or even potentially picking between the props. Lean the knockout, but it wouldn't be insane if riding high off a sub at Tuivasa in the back of his mind is like, man, if I get Pavlovich down, I can strangle him. I can see a tired Pavlovich getting rear naked choked. I know Volkov's the kickboxer, but he's got those long arms. I know Pavlovich is long too, but different length with Volkov. Skinny long. Plus 185 for Volkov. Pavlovich minus 220. I have been a big believer in Pavlovich for a long time, and I don't fathom that he's a bad fighter. Don't get it twisted. It's just I think I underrate Volkov too much. And going back and watching more in Volkov, I'm like, you know what? It's a rough style matchup. And when you hear about two guys training together, there's going to be a different knowledge that they both have. Pavlovich's style is first round blitz. Volkov is the maestro of kickboxing. Give me Volkov as the superior technician to pull off a massive upset. And I think this is massive for his UFC career. Now, over 1.5 is plus 115. That's a dangerous bet. I'll tell you something. This is a dangerous bet. Volkov could get knocked out. Pavlovich hits like a truck. This fight ending inside of the distance is a damn lock. That's what I think. Then Volkov goes out and wins the decision. But how I think of it, if Pavlovich is to win, probably first round knockout, so first round KO prop, and then Volkov to win inside distance. That's what makes sense to me. Or you're money lining Volkov as a dog. If he can avoid Pavlovich's bombs, which I think his striking defense is good enough to do such a thing, he gets a tired Pavlovich down to the ground. He could finish him off there. He could hurt him in the clinch with strikes. He could rock him with the straight. Pavlovich, though he has the iron fist, doesn't necessarily have the iron chin. And I think Alexander Volkov could surprise a lot of people. I'm going with the underdog. I'm going with the Russian Savage, both Russian Savages, teammates, or at least training partners. And we're going with Alexander Volkov to pull through against his boy. Volkov for the W. Let's jump to the main event of the evening. We have Robert Whittaker versus Ikram Aliskerov. And if you guys haven't yet, make sure you all smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe it up. The pick here is crazy. The pick here is difficult. So let me tell you guys my insight. Initial lean was Ikram Aliskerov, but throughout the whole day, I've really been sitting on this one and trying to find my answer. And as I'm looking through, I got a little music on the side, just playing, random, as I'm fucking sitting on this fight. I shit you not. What song comes up? Don't Fear the Reaper. Hey, don't fear the Reaper. And I'm like, no fucking way. Don't fear the Reaper. Ikram Aliskerov to win. I'm sticking with the initial instinct. You can say it's off a little bit of superstition, sure. But the reality is, what are the odds of that happening? The Don't Fear the Reaper comes on at the same time I'm looking at this fight. Give me Ikram Aliskerov. I'm picking him because I feel as though Robert Whittaker, not to say he doesn't have the same drive, but he's reached the height of the game. Aliskerov has never done that before. Aliskerov might be a little bit unproven, and I think Whittaker's the slicker striker. But Aliskerov with pressure can wear on Whittaker. If Aliskerov's chin can hold up with some decent shots from Whittaker, I could see Aliskerov, as we get to the later stages of the first round, successful takedowns. And on the ground, Ikram Aliskerov is going to have a massive advantage. Yes, Aliskerov has good punching power, good smothering style. And if he stays in Rob Whittaker's face and doesn't allow Whittaker to dance on him, counter-strike, move, slip, rip, I feel like Aliskerov, with immense pressure, a difficult style to deal with for Robert Whittaker. Whittaker hasn't necessarily fought somebody like Aliskerov with the wrestling tutelage, and obviously he's fought heavy-handed guys, but the mix of the heavy hands too. Not that Aliskerov has ever fought a Robert Whittaker, but it's going to be really interesting to see how it all unfolds. I'm going with Dagestan. I'm going with Ikram Aliskerov, taking this fight on short notice. He was supposed to fight Antonio Tricoli last week, who's an absolute scrub on UFC Vegas 93. Now he's main eventing the first ever card in Saudi Arabia for the UFC against one of the most popular UFC fighters. I absolutely love the opportunity. For Aliskerov, a win, life-changing. And I just think he's got what it takes, man. I feel like on the ground, he's going to shock people. I think he's going to end up submitting Robert Whittaker. He could wear on Whittaker if he can survive the striking. If he doesn't get knocked out. I know Whittaker's coming off the Costa win, but he didn't look like an absolute world beater. He looked clean there. He landed good shots. If Aliskerov's chin holds up with some decent shots landed by Whittaker, and then he gets some takedowns off, I could see him getting Whittaker's back, and I could see him strangling him. I'm going Ikram Aliskerov for submission, man. I think he can beat Robert Whittaker. I'm doing it. OV for the win. I'm going with these OVs to pull through tonight, man. I really think a good amount of them do. Only picking against one OV on the night. Ikram Aliskerov is a dog, plus 120. Robert Whittaker, minus 140, the favorite. Fucking crazy ass fight. Betting wise, man, good luck. Holy shit. Do I really want to play the main event? Not really. Over 2.5, minus 150. I feel like if the main event gets bet, it's more like a last minute put together parlay for me, or a last minute put together call. Because right now, do I want to throw it on Aliskerov? Though I think he has the potential to win, he hasn't fought this caliber of opponent, and this fight is going to tell us everything about Aliskerov. I do think he's going to be successful and come through. The over 2.5, minus 150. Might end up going under, man. I'm kind of feeling the under at plus 120. I'm saying under. I'm saying Aliskerov. I think he pulls off a big upset in this fight. Submission. I know odds-wise it wouldn't be a big upset, but for the level that Aliskerov is at currently to the level that he will now be fighting at, it would be a massive upset as far as where the fighters are at. So give me Ikram Aliskerov to beat the legendary Robert Whittaker in the main event. I know Whittaker's got great striking, but I'll tell you this, something that I felt is Whittaker may not have as much punch and power as in our minds we kind of assume that he does. So Aliskerov then will not be fearful of pressuring him. And if you can pressure Whittaker, make him uncomfortable, take him to the ground, you can beat him. And that is what Ikram Aliskerov is going to do. So I'm picking Aliskerov, win, submission, upset in the UFC Saudi Arabia main event. Those are the full card predictions. I hope you guys enjoyed, because I did. That was a blast of a breakdown. Honestly, one of the more fun full card prediction shows. I hope you guys had a good time. Smash the likes if you're new, subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the picks, and also let me know some of your favorite picks on the card. I definitely want to hear a lot of your takes on the co-main event. I think it's easy to blind pick Pavlovich by knockout, but I'm curious if I'm not so much in the minority with this Volkov call. I want to know what you guys are thinking, so let me know. Drop some of your favorite picks. If you got nothing to say in the comments, but you just enjoy the content, you want to support, W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.